good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tea Tuesday. This is a take two. I went to upload my video. I was at the hospital waiting for Ray. He had his ultrasound today to confirm that he does have a hernia that he has to be careful with, and we go see the doctor on Thursday. Then we'll go from there again. So anyways, I'll get going with Mr. Twiddle. I want to say thank you to Patty, Life with Patty, and Kathy's Favorite Thing. This is a tea collaboration open to anyone. You can have hot tea, cold tea, formal tea, informal tea. Excuse me. Lost my train of thought. Or a beverage of your choice. It is open. You can do anything while you're having tea. You can craft, you can chat, you can talk, you can do whatever you want. So thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Patty, for hosting this collaboration. Today, Mr. R surprised me with a vanilla chai latte. I wasn't expecting it, but he pulled in. He said, well, you're supporting me and you're doing, taking care of me, and you've upped your game, and I'm looking for something because it's getting drippy. He said, so I just want to show you that I appreciate everything that you've been doing. I said, you know what? I got to do a lot more because you can't do anything. But anyhow, let's get ready with Mr. Twiddle. This is vanilla chai tea. And it's dripping. I was just getting ready to go outside, and I said to work a little, and I said, well, I'll just upload this and go out and work. And I deleted it. What can I say? It happens. But I do remember where I was. It's Mr. Twiddle. Don't be silly, Mr. Twiddle. So let's get on with it. It's 9:20, so we can get this uploaded and out. Mr. Twiddle isn't very helpful. Do you think he's helpful? He tries. Mr. Twiddle was out shopping. He had a list of things to buy, which Mrs. Twiddle had written out for him. She said he would never remember any of them if she didn't. And she was quite right. He would not remember. I've got a visitor coming, she said to Mr. Twiddle, a brother of my best friend. So be sure you bring everything back with you. Twiddle and I can give him a nice lunch. Twiddle went to the grocer's. By him was a dear old lady, and on the floor beside her was a shopping bag, quite full. Next to her was a big burly fella buying all kinds of things. The old lady was served and went out of the shop. It was Twiddle's turn next, and he began to read from his list. 1/2 pound of bacon, 1 pound of sugar, and a pot of strawberry jam. And then Twiddle saw on the floor near him the whopping bag quite full. He stared at it. Why, that dear old lady must have gone off without her bag. How upset would she be? Excuse me a minute, said Mr. Twiddle to the surprised shop girl. He snatched up the bag, hurried out of the shop, leaving the list on the counter till he came back. I must catch up with that dear old lady. Dear old lady. Who likes to be called an old lady? I get called that sometimes. Thought, I really must. Poor old thing. How very worried she will be when she finds she hasn't got her shopping. The old lady was right away in the distance. She walks fast, thought Twiddle, and set off after her. He almost ran because he was so anxious to catch up with her. He hadn't gone very far before he heard a shout behind him. He turned around and saw the shop girl and a big burly man both yelling and waving to him. Oh dear, I suppose they're telling me they've found my shopping list and they want me to go back for it, thought Mr. Twiddle. He stood still and shouted back, I'll be back in a minute. Then on he went again, running to catch up with the lady. The big burly man set out after Mr. Twiddle. Hi, he yelled. You come back. Hi. Mr. Twiddle thought the man was foolish. He must guess he would be coming back soon, so he went, took no notice, and hurried on. The man hurried too. You wait till I catch you, yelled the man. You just wait. Twiddle thought that was a bit queer. Why should he be caught? Why did the man mean? He must be a little mad. Twiddle went faster, taking a look now and again over his shoulder. The man looked hot and angry. I'll shake you till your teeth rattle, yelled the man, and I'll pull your ears. I'll, Twiddle felt really alarmed. Why was this man so annoyed? He really must be quite mad. Twiddle ran so fast that he panted like an engine going uphill. Finally, he felt a heavy hand on his shoulder, and he pulled to a stop. The big burly man swung Mr. Twiddle around and glared at him. Hand over that bag, he said angrily. Certainly not, said Twiddle. It's not yours. This is robbery. It certainly is, but you're the robber, said the man, very red in the face. Give me that bag. I shall not, said Twiddle. It belongs to that dear old lady just down the road there. Oh, you naughty storyteller, said the big man, and he looked really shocked. You look quite a nice little fella, too, and yet you tell stories and steal bags? It is really shocking. Do you want me to call the police? I think you must be mad, said Twiddle, holding on to the bag for all it was worth, for he felt quite sure the man would grab it if he could. I shall call the police if you behave like this. I tell you, this belongs to that little old lady down the road there, and she left it behind in the grocer. I am running after her with it. You do tell big stories, said the man. Now look here. Let's both go after that old lady, and if she says it's her bag, she can have it. And I'll say, I'm sorry, and go away. Well, that seems fair enough, said Twiddle, and they went after the old lady, who looked very surprised indeed when the two men stopped and spoke to her. Madam, said Twiddle, and he raised his hat politely. Madam, you left your bag behind at the grocer's, he said. The old lady looked at him and seemed puzzled. She didn't take the bag. Well, here it is, said Twiddle. I'm impatient and held it out. She shook her head. I don't want it, she said. It's not my bag. Twiddle stared at her as if he couldn't believe his ears. She pushed the bag away. I don't want it. I tell you, she said, it isn't mine. I'm an honest old lady, I am. And I don't want things that are not mine. She walked on, looking quite distraught. The big burly man looked at Twiddle. There you are, he said. What did I tell you? It's all a made-up story of yours, isn't it? You saw the bag, picked it up, went off with it, and pretended you were taking it to an old lady when I found out you had it. I think you're a very bad fellow. I seem to made a little mistake, said poor Twiddle, looking very hot and bothered. He gave the bag to the man. Really, you must not think bad things of me, my dear sir. I belong to this town, and everyone knows me. I am very honest and a harmless fella. Well, we'll see about that, said the big man. I'm going to see my sister's best friend today, and I shall ask her about you and tell her what you've done. Yes, this story shall go around town. Who are you going to see? Asked Mr. Twiddle, hoping it wasn't Mrs. Gab or Mrs. Gossip, for then surely everyone would know how silly he had been. Miss Gab, Miss Gossip spreads all kinds of tales about. I'm going to see Mrs. Twiddle, said the man in a very good woman she is. So I believe my sister has often told me about her. Poor Twiddle, he didn't know what to say. Then he cheered up after all. Mrs. Twiddle was his wife, and she loved him. Perhaps she would stick up for him. She often scolded him for things, but she knew he was kind and honest. He didn't say any more, but trotted back to the grocery shop. He found his list on the counter and gave his order. He waited for everything until it was packed up. Then he went back home. Excuse me. Now the big burly man was out there before him and had already told Mrs. Twiddle about the bad, dishonest fella who had taken the bag this morning. Mrs. Twiddle was shocked. What was he like? She said, well, there he is coming up your front path this very minute, said the big man. You be careful of him, Mrs. Twiddle. He may rob you or deceive you with his tales. Then the big man got a surprise. Mrs. Twiddle went very red. She looked as like she was going to burst. She picked up a broom, looked so fierce that the man was alarmed. You go out of my house at once, said Mrs. Twiddle, saying things like that about my Twiddle, who is the dearest, best, honest, yes, stupidest feller I've ever lived. Take your bag and go. Twiddle heard all this, and he saw Mrs. Twiddle suddenly sweep with a broom. There it is right there. She's going after him. She ain't going to take no guff now, is she? At the big man's feet, he laughed. How he laughed. Then he caught hold of Mrs. Twiddle and stopped her. Wait, my love, he said. Don't send him away. I've been foolish this morning, and so has he. But it's worth it to hear you say all those nice things about me. Don't sweep the poor fellow off his feet. Mrs. Twiddle laughed. The big man laughed too. Twiddle laughed the loudest. He shook his hand with the man, and Mrs. Twiddle put the broom away. It all turned into a good joke, said Twiddle. Now you just come in and look at my garden, Twiddle, whistled Mrs. Twiddle, while I get dinner. Dear old Twiddle, he gets into the muddles, doesn't he? And we're going to stop right there, and we have one more chapter to go. And we are going to finish next week no matter what. If it takes 20 minutes, we're going to finish this. And hopefully the following week, I'll have my new books. Not new, they're used. But anyways, I want to thank you for coming to Tea Tuesday, open collaboration. Everything will be down in the description box below. Have a great day. God bless. And I'm going out to work. Bye now.